ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Not because no one saw you, but because no one felt you? That's not bad luck. That's not energy imbalance or cosmic nonsense. That's posture. That's presence. That's the loud, unspoken message your body sends before your mouth opens. And the cold truth is, your body is talking even when you're silent. And most of you are screaming weakness without saying a single word. Fix your posture right now. Shoulders back, chest open, chin up, eye contact unbroken. You're not an animal crawling through life. You're a man who commands his space, but you've spent so long slouched behind screens, bowing to comfort, hunched over in fear, that you've forgotten how to stand like you own the room. And if you can't own a room, how the hell do you expect to own your life? Aura starts with presence, and presence begins with posture. People decide how to treat you before you say anything. They scan you in seconds and make decisions. Respect, fear, attraction, curiosity, indifference. That all happens before the first word leaves your lips. And if your body says, "I don't belong," no one will hand you a reason to stay. You want to boost your aura? Start with your body. A weak frame sends a weak signal. A slouched spine is a bowed soul. But a man who stands like he's already won, he pulls attention without trying. The world leans toward those who don't flinch, those who hold their ground, those who've trained their body to reflect power, not beg for it. And stop chasing. Stop begging to be seen, heard, validated. You don't attract by reaching. You attract by becoming. The sun doesn't chase planets. It pulls them. That's gravity. That's what you build when your presence is unshakable. When your purpose is so loud that people orbit you just to feel the heat. You chase because you've convinced yourself that approval is scarce, that attention is currency. But high aura men don't need to chase. They create magnetism through silence, through control, through obsession with self-mastery. You think charm is about being liked. No, it's about being undeniable. And the only way to become undeniable is to stop running after what should be running after you. You need to become the one who moves slow but strikes fast. The one who speaks less but owns the room. The one who doesn't need to prove anything, because he's already proven it to himself. When you move like that, talk like that, live like that, your aura changes rooms before your voice does ever notice how the loudest guy in the room usually gets the least respect. He talks too much, tries too hard, wants everyone to know who he is, and still, no one really listens. That's because true power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't explain. It simply exists. That's the power of silence. A man who knows who he is doesn't need to speak constantly. His energy speaks for him. You want to boost your aura. Learn to shut up, not in weakness, in control, in precision. Weak men talk because silence makes them uncomfortable. They speak to be accepted, to feel important, to fill the awkward space. But powerful men are calm in the silence. They use silence like a weapon. They observe. They calculate. They let others reveal their thoughts, mistakes, and insecurities, and they never expose theirs without purpose. Your words are currency. Every time you speak without control, you spend that currency on attention you don't need, and opinions that don't matter. You want people to respect your words. Say less. Make every sentence land like a punch, not a paragraph. Make silence your armor, mystery, your leverage. Because once people know everything you think, you give them the map to manipulate you. Stay unreadable. Stay unbothered. Power loves silence. And once you master silence, pair it with something they can't ignore. Your body. Before you ever say a word, your physique is screaming your standards. Your body tells the world whether you're a man of control or a man of comfort, whether you've suffered for discipline or collapsed into weakness. People respect what they fear and admire what they know took effort. Your body needs to command that reaction. You don't need to be a bodybuilder, but you do need to be built. A strong frame demands respect. Broad shoulders, solid core, trained arms. These things are signals, not for show, for aura. Because in a world full of soft, distracted men, a body carved through pain and consistency speaks louder than any quote you post online. It tells people you can endure, you can push, you can dominate. Your body is your billboard. It walks into every room before your name does. It tells people how serious you are before you open your mouth. You want people to pay attention when you talk. Give them a reason before you speak. Earn it in the silence. Earn it in the gym. Earn it when no one's watching. Because respect isn't granted by chance. It's forced by presence. You ever meet someone who hasn't said a word, hasn't done anything flashy, but you feel them? That feeling you can't explain. The tension, the gravity, the presence. That's aura. And it's not built from comfort. It's not built from ease, luxury, or pleasure. Aura is built in pain. It's forged in fire. It's the result of war behind the scenes. The man who's been through hell, but stands like he's still undefeated. That's the man who owns the room without asking for permission. Comfort, on the other hand, destroys aura. It softens your edge. It dulls your instincts. It makes your eyes wander, your body shrink, your presence fade. You want to know why most people have no power in their presence? It's because they've never chosen pressure. They've never suffered on purpose. They avoid anything uncomfortable, and then wonder why no one respects them. Because you don't respect what came easy. You build aura by leaning into the struggle. You build it when you train, when it hurts, when you show up when you're exhausted, when you stick to the mission when comfort whispers your name. Aura doesn't come from privilege. It comes from pressure. It's in the way you walk when you've walked through pain. It's in the way you speak when you've conquered your own weakness. It's in your silence when others panic. But all that presence is worthless if you can't control your eyes. Because eyes are the window to your power. Weak men can't hold eye contact. They look around constantly, always distracted, always scanning. Because deep down, they're unsure of themselves. They seek permission. They wait for cues. They're trying to read the room because they don't own their own presence. But powerful men, they focus. Their gaze is controlled, still, deliberate. They don't react to everything. They don't flinch. They lock in. When they look at you, you feel it. Because that level of focus is rare in a world of wandering eyes and scattered minds. Aura is about energy, and energy leaks through uncontrolled attention. You lose power every time you let your gaze be pulled by random noise, meaningless movement, cheap distractions. Train your eyes to obey your mind. When you walk into a room, own it with your posture, command it with your silence, and anchor it with your eyes. Don't look down. Don't scan. Don't twitch. Observe without chasing. See everything without reacting to anything. That kind of control makes people uncomfortable, and that's the point. Aura isn't about making people like you. It's about making them feel something when you're in the room. Even if they don't know why, ever notice how some men talk and everyone zones out, but others speak once and the whole room goes quiet. That's not charisma. That's precision. When a man has control over his words, his presence multiplies. Weak men talk to impress. Powerful men talk to impact. And the reason most people never command attention is because their words are empty. They speak too often, too vaguely, and too emotionally. Your mouth should be a weapon, not a faucet. Words should land like bullets, not like background noise. You want to boost your aura, then sharpen your speech. Eliminate the fluff, remove the fillers, cut the stutters, the nervous laughter, the ums and likes. Every word that leaves your mouth should carry weight. Every sentence should push the room forward, or shut it down. Talking for the sake of sound is what boys do. Speaking with authority is what men do. When you speak with purpose, people lean in. When your tone matches your intention, people listen. But you can't fake this. If you haven't built discipline behind the scenes, your voice won't carry truth. If you haven't suffered, your stories won't hit. If you haven't achieved, your advice won't matter. Power in speech only comes after power in action. Your mouth can't cover what your life doesn't prove. And here's what makes that voice even stronger: mastery. Aura doesn't come from doing everything okay. It comes from doing one thing exceptionally. You don't need to be average at 10 skills. You need to be undeniable at 1. In a world full of generalists, the master stands out because he's rare, because he's valuable, because he's real. You want to walk into a room and radiate power? Then become the guy who dominates something. Doesn't matter if it's business, fighting, tech, music, or fitness. Mastery is the magnet. People are drawn to excellence, and they can feel when it's earned. You can't fake depth. You can't fake repetition. You can't fake obsession. Mastery has a presence. It leaks from your tone, your posture, your mindset, your movements. The man who has trained for years doesn't need to explain his journey. It shows. The confidence, the calmness, the quiet intensity. That's the result of knowing you've paid your dues. When people meet you, they should feel it. The discipline, the obsession, the standards. And the only way to build that is to pick something and go all in. No halfway, no part-time passion, just pure focus until you don't compete anymore. You set the standard. You ever walk past someone and just feel that they're different? They haven't said a word, haven't made a move, but their presence punches through the noise. It's like they carry an invisible force field around them, and it makes people pay attention. That's not luck. That's not status. That's energy. And it's one of the most misunderstood parts of aura, because you can fake confidence, you can fake style, you can fake status, but you cannot fake energy. People don't remember your words as much as they remember how your presence made them feel. And if your energy is weak, low, scattered, insecure, it doesn't matter what you say. You could speak the most profound truth, but no one will care. You could be right and still be ignored. Because when your energy is soft, the world doesn't lean in, it leans away. Energy isn't just hype, it's alignment. It's how much congruence exists between your mind, your actions, your beliefs, and your lifestyle. When a man says one thing but lives another, his energy is off. You can feel it. It doesn't click. It doesn't connect. It's like his body is showing up, but his power stayed behind. But when a man is living on code, when his actions match his values, his energy starts radiating without effort. That's why your energy is louder than your words. That's why some men can walk into a room, stand in silence, and still dominate the space. Their posture, their presence, their inner alignment, it all sends a message louder than any speech. The world reads energy, and you don't get to decide whether people feel you or not. Your energy decides for you. So if your energy's weak, it's not a vibe issue. It's a life issue. It means there's chaos in your routine. It means your mind is unfocused. Your mission is foggy. Your standards are soft. Your lifestyle is undisciplined. Weak energy comes from weak living. You can't live like a peasant and expect people to treat you like a king. You can't live without structure and expect to command attention. You can't indulge every temptation and expect to walk like you carry purpose. You build strong energy through control, through discipline, through doing what others avoid. Energy gets stronger every time you say no to distractions, every time you show up when you could have made excuses, every time you choose to suffer for a reason instead of running from resistance. The man with the strongest energy isn't always the loudest. He's the one who's most in control of himself. And that's where most of the modern world is getting it wrong. Everyone wants to talk. Everyone wants to show. Everyone wants to be seen. But nobody wants to build in silence. No one wants to disappear. No one wants to vanish from the noise, bury themselves in effort, and return as a completely different beast. But that's how real aura is built. You want to be felt? Then disappear from the crowd. Get out of the noise. Get off the radar. Stop being available to everyone. Stop posting every move. Stop announcing goals you haven't even started. Silence is not weakness. It's strategy. Disappear to grow. Disappear to heal. Disappear to evolve. Because when you return, they'll feel the difference before you ever say a word. The reason most men never boost their aura is because they're addicted to attention. They want credit for work they haven't done yet. They want applause while they're still average. They want recognition before transformation. But real growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in solitude, in sweat, in rejection, in sacrifice. It happens in those long silent nights when no one claps and no one cares, and you grind anyway. And when you return from that kind of season, you don't come back normal. You come back untouchable. Because you know something most people don't. You know what it's like to fight your demons in private and win. You know what it's like to build when no one's watching. You know what it's like to burn your past and rebuild yourself brick by brick, in silence. That silence becomes your shield. That discipline becomes your voice. And the world can feel it. They don't know what changed, but they know something's different. They can't explain it, but they respect it. Because you stopped chasing applause and started becoming the man who creates it. You stopped asking to be seen and started doing work that demands to be felt. This isn't about hiding. This is about elevation. You disappear not to escape, but to evolve. You disconnect not to quit, but to return. You go silent not because you're done, but because you're about to begin. That energy, that mystery, that transformation, that's what creates an aura no one can copy. That's what separates the man who posts about growth from the man who lives it. So if you're tired of being invisible, disappear. If you're tired of being ignored, vanish and improve. If you're tired of talking, shut your mouth and sharpen your presence. The world doesn't need another voice in the crowd. It needs a force that can't be ignored. And that only happens when you stop showing up for approval and start showing up for purpose. Aura isn't a look. It's not a brand. It's not something you wear. It's who you are when no one's watching. It's the way you move after doing the work in private. It's the silence that comes from having nothing to prove, but everything to offer. And it starts when you remove yourself from the noise, kill the ego, and become obsessed with building something real. When you disappear for long enough, people forget your name, and that's good. Because when you return, they won't just remember you, they'll feel you, and you won't need to explain where you went. Your aura will speak for you.